certainly, in my formative years, Margaret Thatcher was. I was brought up mostly um, in a single parent house by my mum, so I suppose uh, may be drawn towards it because she was a strong woman leading a party, and at that particular time, you didn't have many women in positions of leadership. My mum led our house, and she led the other bigger house.
That's quite sweet actually for you, Ian.
I know. That's because I'm what David Cameron would say. I'm a caring conservative. I just
See,
don't show that a lot. But no, and that's that's. Forget about the deep-rooted political ideology. I think certainly that's what got me interested in the first place was that here were very two strong leaders of people, and at the time it was pitched as a battle between the Western way and the communist way. Um, uh, and to be honest, that's what, at that particular time, the Labour Party under Michael Foot and people like that probably wasn't as left wing as it was under Corbyn, but it was very much a supporter of the more Russian way of doing things, as it were, the more anti British sentiment. And that kind of probably pushed me earliest towards being conservative. The fact that the Conservatives seemed to be sticking up for Britain, traditional values, where we were, what we were as a country, protecting our values, whereas the other groups didn't seem to be doing that and seemed to be siding more with what I thought at the time, with a very young age, as our enemies. And so that's what got me involved in, well, not interested in politics in the first place.
yeah, see, Margaret Thatcher is kind of my draw as well, but in a different way. So I came from a, I'd say maybe a difficult background. We didn't have a lot of money. We moved around a lot. We went from dotted from council estate to council estate, and there weren't a massive amount of opportunities from what I could see for women in my circumstances. There was a lot of there was an issue in the areas that I was living in with teenage pregnancy and that kind of thing, and so I grew up with this idea that women, even if you did well at school, what's the point? Because you're going to end up having kids, or you're probably not even going to finish school because you're going to have kids. And there wasn't really a positive future on the horizon for me being a female in that kind of environment growing up. And then a teacher, when I moved to Suffolk, got quite frustrated with me and said, "Sam, you've got so much potential, you just have no concentration." And didn't really make much of an effort. And I kind of said, "Well, what's the point? Because all I'm here to do is produce children." And he said, "You've clearly never heard of Margaret Thatcher." And it's probably quite unusual for a teacher to say that, but you know, we were learning about London at the time, and he told me to do some research on Margaret Thatcher, and I was about 10, 11 at the time, so year six, just at the end of
So when
primary
would that have
school.
been? When would that have been? Going to reveal your age now, here, Sam. You know that, don't you?
So 97. Is that
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
So,
So
so
yeah.
she wasn't. Obviously, she wasn't in power then. No.
No, no. So it was, and then I read about her, and I thought, crikey! I mean, she could run the country, and she was a strong woman. And then it kind of stemmed from there, and then I started really questioning the environment that I was growing up in, and whether things like a benefit system really helped people. You know, remember I grew up in areas like Jaywick, Clacton, extreme poverty. I we lived in these, you know, the temporary housing in Clacton,
Oh,
in
I know the ones
Jaywick.
you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there was mold, chest infections, just real poor health conditions. So when you start thinking about things like that, and I really, really questioned um, this kind of this idea of leaving people long term on benefits as being quite damaging to people. That's what kind of drew me to the conservative way, and I think that's what's made me a conservative. Quite strong foundations of conservative is this fight against leaving people on a benefit system and making them feel like there is no future for them, which I think is actually very damaging. So a little bit deep, but that's why I'm a
Well, no,
conservative.
I mean, to say you say a little bit deep, but I mean that's what people's beliefs, people's beliefs come from. So what you hit on there is similar to how I then more was entrenched with Conservatives, because I suppose when I was younger, when Thatcher was first in power, we had horrendously bad unemployment, and there was a lot of people on the dole, and one of Thatcher's big things was to get that down and to get people working again and to give people an opportunity. Again, coming from similar background to you, I realised that the only way out of that is to do things yourself, is to get the opportunities yourself and be given the opportunities. Now, it would have been very easy as I was growing up to lead to have a more basic life, as it were. But what the Conservatives offered at the time was a bit of change and a bit of hope, and they seemed to be the party that would help you get there. It would give you I suppose I was quite inquisitive when I was younger. I used to like to take things apart and see how they worked and try and put them back together again and all kinds of things. And I suppose what the Conservatives did, and I still say it now, is that they give you the tools to be able to do the job yourself, rather than, I don't want a set of instructions for my life. I don't want to be told what to do, how to do it. I want an end goal, I want an ambition, and I want somebody to be able to facilitate that and let me get there. And that's more what they are. They're more like, I suppose, I likened it when I was younger. So there's a couple of different types of teachers. They're more like the teacher that that tells you what they want to do and then just sits at their desk and lets you get on with it. Whereas some teachers will tell you what they want. They'll tell you how to get there. They'll tell you how to write it. They'll tell you how to work things out. And basically, in the end, you think, well, you might as well live my life for me then. And I suppose that's the difference. I like authority to be there. I like there to be a path to something, as it were, but I don't need to be told how to do it. I need to find my own way. And that's what I grew up with. The Conservatives then were very much enabling people to live their own life rather than be told how to live.